critical of Islam put up signs saying, if you want to leave Islam and you're not sure you're safe, you can contact go to this website and we'll help you. We'll help you. Now this is important because if you know anyone who's leaving Islam, you know how terrified they are. You know how, I mean, think of Rifka Berry. Think of Rifka Berry. She leaves Islam, she gets threatened with death, and she has to run away, and she's terrified. Lots of people, even who would, people who would love to leave Islam, people who want to leave Islam, they're scared. They don't know what their families are going to do. They don't know how they're going to be persecuted. They don't want to lose everyone, and they're scared, and they have no one to go to. If you're in a tightly knit Muslim community, who do you go to if you want to leave Islam? Well, they started a bus campaign. If you are worried about this, here we are willing to help you. CARE immediately jumped in. How dare you? Look at what you're doing. You're criticizing our religion. And what are you, a bunch of Islamophobes and hate mongers? And Miami submitted and took down the ads. So think about this. Muslims have every right to proclaim their religious views, to insult our beliefs by calling Jesus a prophet of Islam. But if we say, hey, if you want to leave Islam and are worried about dying, we're willing to help you, shame on you. You're being racist and Islamophobic. And that organization will submit. They will submit. We're not going. You're right. We will not allow any criticism of Islam. We will take down these signs. They submitted to Islam.
So when we're going to wake up?
I don't know. Again, what did Islam do to earn this special privilege? We understand in the United States, people have a legal right to criticize Christianity. People have a legal right to criticize Judaism. People have a legal right to proclaim their views. You don't have, it's turning out to where you don't have a right to criticize Islam. You don't have a right even to state the straightforward facts about Islam. You don't have a right to tell people, hey, if you're worried you're going to be killed for leaving, this is the United States and the United States will protect you. You don't have that right to say those things anymore. What did Islam do to earn this special privilege? In other words, if there's one group and they're horribly, horribly persecuted, and everyone is trying to slaughter them, and then everyone does everything in their power to protect them, I understand that. But when it's, hey, we're going to take over your country, we're going to engage in terrorist attacks, we're going to condemn everyone else, and we ultimately want to conquer you, why do you protect that group and say, this is the one group that we will not allow criticism of? We will not allow that. We'll give them every privilege, special privileges beyond anything anyone else can imagine. Where, and I invite Muslims, please tell me, what did you do to earn that right? I understand you think you have that right, just like, and this goes back to Muhammad. If you wonder why the inconsistency in the Muslim world today, namely that it's okay in Muslim lands to oppress everyone else, but if anyone even thinks of oppressing Muslims in other lands, how dare you, you're being racist and Islamophobic. Double standards. We don't have to tolerate anyone in our countries, but in your countries you better tolerate us. Why that inconsistency? All of this goes back to Muhammad. If you keep me from taking my pilgrimage to the Kaaba, that's wrong and horrible and I will slaughter you. But as soon as I'm in power, you're not taking the pilgrimage. You're not taking the pilgrimage to the Kaaba. You're not going there. I'm not going to allow it. I will kill you if you try to come there. Double standards every step of the way. If you criticize our beliefs through poetry, we will kill you. If you criticize our beliefs by speaking against our beliefs, we will kill you. If we condemn your beliefs, as we do over and over again in the Quran, no problem. That's just what we do. The inconsistency goes back to Muhammad himself. And that's the same inconsistency we find in the world today. And yes, you're right. What does it take? What does it take? How many terrorist attacks have to happen every single day around the world before people will say, you know what, we do need to take a look at Islam, and we do need to look at it seriously. And whatever we find, we're going to tell people what we find. And if it hurts people's feelings, then it hurts people's feelings. If it hurts your feeling as a Muslim when I say that according to Surah 929, you are commanded to fight unbelievers, if that hurts your feelings, that's not my problem. That's your problem. If you don't like what the Quran says, reject the Quran. Don't say, oh, shame on you, David, for telling me about my holy book. If you don't like the fact that Muhammad said in Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, I've been commanded to fight people until they recite the Shahada, if you don't like that, that's your issue. If you don't like the fact that Islam allows in Surah 434 Muslims to beat their wives, don't take that up with me. Don't say, David, shame on you for saying that, how horrible and Islamophobic you are. I'm just telling you what your book teaches because your imams aren't telling you. So don't hate us, don't despise us. If you have a problem with what your religion teaches, if you have a problem with what this book commands you to do, you need to deal with that. That's between you and this book. Just because I'm telling you what's in this book, don't treat us as the bad guys. And the point here is just the idea of when we report what happens in the world, when the media reports, CARE says, "Hey, you're being horrible." No, how is it being hateful or racist or Islamophobic to report the facts? In other words, if a little girl in Yemen dies because she was only 9 years old when her husband had sex with her and she wasn't ready for sex, and she dies because of that, and we report this and we show that it's a problem and we show that it goes back to the teachings of Muhammad, what have we done wrong? We say, here's a problem, and it is a problem that little girls are dying and little girls are going to the hospital in countries like Yemen. It's around 8 per day. Around 8 women and girls per day are dying because of Muhammad's teachings, what he taught about having sex with young girls. And I don't care where that's happening. I don't even care if it's happening in India, and it doesn't even have anything to do with Islam there. It doesn't matter. If it's a problem and little girls are dying or something like that, it needs to be pointed out and it needs to be addressed. That's how changes get made, whether it's in the Christian world or the Muslim world or the Hindu world or anywhere else. If there's a problem, if people are being subjugated, if people are suffering and being oppressed, you point out the problem, you draw attention to the problem, and this makes people deal with the problem. And the problem in the Muslim world is Muhammad's teachings are causing massive problems, so we confront Muhammad's teachings. But if you do that, shame on you. Well, what's the alternative? The alternative is to ignore the problem, to ignore the fact that Muslims are commanded to fight the unbelievers, that Muslims are to fight us until we are subjugated to Islam. We can ignore that. But in other words, I'm pointing this out because people say, stop criticizing Islam, stop being so mean. What's the alternative here? If you really want me to stop criticizing Islam, stop pointing out what it teaches, what's the alternative? The alternative is to sit back and do nothing. And are you really, I'm talking to Westerners now, I'm talking to non-Muslims. Do you really want us to stop and do nothing, despite the fact that there is a religion out there with at least 1.5 billion adherents who are all commanded to fight and subjugate us? Is that your solution? I'm not. I'm not going to sit there and do nothing while Islam grows and violent radical groups grow and give my children a world where they're in more danger than I am right now. No. You fix the problems now. You don't pass them on to the next generation.
I think, I don't know, I'm still going back to the church because in every society, if the spiritual values is not the standard of this society, I'm not saying that everybody has to be Christian, but when this country was established, it was established in some Christian values, it was spiritual values, and it seems to me the church has no voice anymore to set these standards. That's why everybody's doing what he wants to do. I mean, because we know that politics is not the solution, because today we have a conservative president, now we have a liberal president, and tomorrow will be so that's not the standard a country can set its values on. So, see, I'm just stressing that the church has a part to do, and if it doesn't wake up to do that part...
Of course. Look, everything rests on the church. The government is, whether it's Republican or Democrat, the government is not going to deal with Islam. One government might do a better job, but this problem cannot just go away. A political change is not going to solve the teachings of Islam. That's not the issue. But think about it. If Christians just did what we're supposed to do, Christians aren't supposed to care about money. Christians aren't supposed to care about just living a comfortable life until they die. That's not what Christians are supposed to be focused on. We are commanded to love everyone in the world. We are told that the greatest form of love is being willing to lay down your life, for someone else. This is what we're commanded. Now, if we took this seriously, wouldn't it bother us that our brothers and sisters are being persecuted? Of course. Wouldn't it bother us, even not even talking about other Christians, wouldn't it bother us that little Muslim girls are suffering and dying because of the teachings of Muhammad? Of course it would. Wouldn't we want to do something about this? Yes, if we really loved people the way we're supposed to love them, we would want people, whatever they are, whether they're Muslim or non-Muslim, we would want everyone to not die by being raped by an older man. We wouldn't want that. So what are we going to do about it? Well, the church